Hello Internet, and welcome to my review for Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Episode 7. When we last left off, Tanjiro and Nezuko had come to an unnamed village somewhere to the west of Rokodaki's place, where they were dealing with a demon that was kidnapping young girls by dragging them underground and then eating them. And yeah, Tanjiro found the demon, found the fiancé of a girl who had just been captured and killed, and they started fighting some demons. Yeah, it's a very, very basic story. It's not the show's best, as we'll see throughout the rest of the story here, starting with Nezuko. So I do appreciate getting to see Nezuko in action, both in the opening moments of this episode, both in the opening moments of the episode and, later on, as she fights the final form. But her continued puppy dogness is still really bringing her character down. I think she needs to learn to talk. At a certain point, Nezuko needs to be able to talk, or she'll just continue to be this kind of non-character who's just there to motivate Tanjiro, and I think she deserves better than that. Then we get to see why they call it water breathing, as Tanjiro dives down into the demon's personal little underground swamp world, letting him use the full power of water breathing against two of the demon's clones, that he kills pretty much instantly. After he left Nezuko up top to protect the couple from the other one. It's a decent sequence, but not really on par with the show's best, which is pretty much my impression of this arc as a whole, as we'll get into. But speaking of Nezuko, we then get this nice, fluidly animated, admittedly simple sequence of Nezuko and the last of the demon clones, just going at it in hand-to-hand combat. This is interrupted once the demon gets the upper hand. Nezuko is not trained in combat, so she's doing the same move over and over again, which helps the demon kind of figure out her strategy and then go for it and end up nearly beating her. But it's interrupted at the last second by Tanjiro swooping in and finishing the demon off. Not quite yet, but incapacitate it for a little while so that he can interrogate it about Muzan. Who we know is apparently the only demon who can create more demons and is the one responsible for Nezuko being the way she is at the moment. Unfortunately, saying that name terrifies the demon into being unable to talk. Before Tanjiro can manage to get any information out of it, the demon sprouts its arms back and tries to fight Tanjiro again, but Tanjiro just cuts it down real fast and the demon's dead. Again, not much to say about this sequence. This whole arc as a whole is pretty flat. It's not garbage. It's not actively bad. But it's pretty mediocre, I'll say. We do get, I will say, a really sweet sequence of Tanjiro comforting Kasumi, or at least trying to, before Kasumi berates him for not knowing anything about what Kasumi's going through. Tanjiro then gives Kasumi Sachiko's hairpin that he stole from the demon before leaving, which somehow is the way Kasumi figures out that Tanjiro knows what it's like to lose people to the demons. I figured that seeing that Nezuko was a demon would have done that, but oh well. Yeah, again, it's the nicest part of this arc, or the nicest part of this episode, or of this episode's portion in that arc. But still, it's just an alright sequence. Nothing on par with the tracking the girl scene from last week. But anyway, before Tanjiro has any time to breathe, he's already summoned to Asakusa for his next mission, and the episode instantly jumps up in quality. Because once he gets to Asakusa, we're treated to this great sequence emphasizing the stark difference between the city and the country in early 20th century Japan. That's both funny, especially Tanjiro just stumbling on a couple making out in an alley, and he just blushes and runs away. And does a good job of showing Tanjiro's discomfort with a world he barely understands. There's a particular sequence as the camera looks at Tanjiro and Nezuko as the other people kind of fade and flitter behind them, that really shows at least Tanjiro's discomfort with this world. All of this stops, though, at an Odin stand outside the town, where it gets a little bit of a break, until Tanjiro gets a sniff of a certain scent. The scent he found at the site of the Kamado massacre, Muzan's. And we are already being introduced to the main villain, at least who I think is the main villain of the series. And this leads to an incredibly directed scene of Tanjiro running through Asakusa as you like feel your like blood freezing, as Tanjiro is like pushing people aside to find Muzan, and he sees him just chilling in the streets with a human wife and daughter. And this is a great twist, I will say. It's a great twist, and I'm sure this will complicate things down the line. But I have to admit, the believability of the twist is slightly hampered by the fact that demons' eyes and nails are so different from humans that it doesn't really make sense that his wife and daughter would not notice the cat-like pupils and the veins in the irises and the claw nails. It works with Nezuko, because no one who doesn't know that she's a demon is really paying her any attention. Tanjiro would notice, but he knows that she's a demon. The other passerby would not be looking close enough into her eyes to notice the veins and the cat pupils or anything. But the wife should notice. She should notice that her husband has cat eyes and has demon claws. Unless the claws are retractable, I'm not entirely sure about that. The eyes are not, though. When he turns around at Tanjiro, he has the eyes. But the wife supposedly does not know that her husband is a demon. Unless, of course, she does know. If that's a big plot twist, manga fans, shut up. I'm just theorizing based on the eyes thing. But if it is a plot twist, don't talk about it in the comics, and the comments, not the comics, and don't talk about it in the comments because, again, anime only here. But yeah, either way, him having a human family who would be impacted by his death muddies the waters a good bit, which is always a nice thing to see. Anyway, while Muzan's family is looking at Tanjiro, Muzan just swipes a guy's neck behind him, turning the guy into a demon who attacks his girlfriend or wife or something. And yeah, there's now an active killing demon in Asakusa. Cue episode's end. So yeah, this was an episode with two very clear, distinct halves. So I kind of have to review those halves individually. The first was clearly the weaker of the two, as that story arc was just never really all that interesting. It got the job done. The production values were still great, so it still provided some decent shonen action. But, I know the show can do better. I saw the final selection. It absolutely can do better. And do better it does. In the second half, some incredibly directed sequences, both of Tanjiro's introduction to the city, and as it builds hype for that first meeting with Muzan. Muzan himself leads to all kinds of questions, especially about his family, like I just mentioned. But he's a villain that, even in these couple of minutes of screen time, just oozes so much cool that I already want to see more of him. And yeah, next time, Tanjiro has to deal with a newly created demon. So that's all I have to say for this week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye.